Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Today we're going to talk about what makes a good jerkbait. You know, there's a lot of jerkbaits on the market. Some of them seem like they excel much better than the rest. And when you look at them, there are a lot of similarities between them. So that's what I'm going to talk about today and point out what I believe makes a good jerkbait. During the fall period here in the cold water period, which we're just starting to enter, the jerkbait is such a good bait, and it's something that catches not just bass, but pretty much every game fish out there. So if you're not throwing jerkbaits, you might want to think about it. And if you're looking to purchase a few, maybe you might want to use my Tackle Warehouse affiliate link. That would be a great way to support the channel. All right, so let's talk about the jerkbait. So in this case, this is the Berkley Stunna 112. This is one of my favorite jerkbaits, just an all-around good fish catching machine. And the first thing I want to point out, so to me, potentially the most critical thing on your jerkbait is this guy right here. This is your diving lip. When I'm looking to purchase jerkbaits, the diving lip is one of the first things that I look at. And the reason for that is I want a jerkbait that does not have a giant diving lip. And the reason for that is that diving lip is going to prevent my bait from slashing in the water column. I want a bait that has a much more erratic motion, and generally speaking, the smaller the diving lip, the more your bait's going to move side to side and more it's going to have some irregular motion that is really good at generating those bites from non-aggressive fish. So I'm going to look at the diving lip size. Now, at the same time, I got to tell you, I also want a bait that dives deep. Generally speaking, the deeper, the better. It just gives me the opportunity to reach fish that might be out of that water column depth that other jerkbaits don't reach. So having a thinner profile lip generally means I can get deeper, or I shouldn't say it gets me deeper. If I have a jerkbait with a thinner profile diving lip that gets deep, that is really one of the big keys. Now, it's one of those things when you look at it kind of contradicts itself, because generally the bigger the diving lip, the deeper the bait goes. The thing is, if you can find one that has a thinner profile and still get down to the deeper depths that a bigger diving lip does, that's what you're looking for. So it's really key to look. Does a bait have a big diving lip and get down to 10 feet when a similar bait has a smaller lip and still gets down to 10 feet? I want the bait with the smaller lip. That's ultimately what I'm saying. And along those lines, I want a jerkbait that gets to deeper depths that has the same profiled lip. So number one, I'm looking at the diving lip on the bait. Number two, I'm looking for a jerkbait that gets down deeper. And number three on this list is this right here. If you can see that, that is a weight transfer system in the bait. So in this case, there's a tungsten ball that's sliding back and forth. The reason that weight transfer system is so important is that it helps you make longer casts. And the longer the cast, the more you can get your bait down deeper. It gives you a longer range to entice fish to bites. It just allows you to cover more water. So to me, a jerkbait having the ability to make long casts is a huge, huge feature, and having that tungsten ball or some form of weight transfer system is one of the best ways to get that casting distance. If you remember, a lot of the old original jerkbaits and a lot of the ones still in the market today that don't have that, they tend to flutter and not go exactly where you want it. They tend not to achieve nearly the same casting distance. So a weight transfer system to me is a huge benefit to your jerkbait fishing. Another thing I want to point out is the profile of the bait. So when you look at this bait, the profile, basically the size of the bait, I want personally a slender profile. I don't like baits that are wide from side to side, and I don't like baits that are wide from top to belly. To me, I want a slender profile. The reason for that, again, goes back to that slashing motion and generally my diving depth. So if I have a slender profile bait, you're pushing less water, and therefore your bait's going to move more in the water, enhancing the action on the bait. The other thing is, generally speaking, a smaller profile bait tends to dive deeper because, again, you're pushing less water and you're getting it through the water column faster with less resistance. And from that standpoint, I want a slender profile bait. Ultimately, it helps me achieve some of the things that I want within a jerkbait. And then after that, those are kind of the mechanics of the bait. Color is also a very important color. You know, we've talked about color in depth, but ultimately, depending on the conditions that I'm fishing, color can be a huge factor. When I'm looking for a jerkbait, I tend to want to have one that's translucent, like this guy right here. This is the shad fillet color by Berkeley. I want something that's translucent so that when the fish are looking at it and they're in really clear water, they don't get a great look at it like a solid colored bait. But I also generally like to have the opposite of that. I like to have a bright colored bait or a solid colored bait that generally has some two-tone color to it. So when I'm fishing dirty water or darker conditions, I can throw that color. But I like to have two separate types of colors, and it's a very important critical matter to having success with your jerkbait. So having a few different colors is key. And then lastly, anytime you're looking for a good jerkbait, you want to make sure that the hooks are absolutely sticky sharp. These Fusion 19s are some phenomenal hooks that come on the Stunna. And the reason you want hooks that are extremely sharp is a lot of times the fish that you have coming after these baits just slash at them. They don't necessarily always hit it with their mouth open, or they come up and they bump the bait, and your sticky sharp hooks will help you catch some of those fish that don't actually bite the bait. Dull jerkbait hooks can be one of your biggest nemesises on the water. So those are the things that I look for when I'm looking for a really good quality jerkbait. What are you guys looking for? Did I miss some? Do you have some things that you really like? Maybe it's a feathered treble hook or something along those lines. Let me know in the comments section so I can learn from you guys. Just like hopefully you're learning from me. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned, we'll have a new video coming out tomorrow.